Hi everyone, I'm Freddie, and I'm 21. My childhood wasn't happy. My dad, Carl, and I didn't get along. We used to be close, but everything changed when he divorced my mom and left us with a lot of money problems. It felt like he left me behind, like I didn't matter to him. He started a new life and focused on himself, his hobbies, and dating. After the divorce, my mom, Yasmin, and I had a tough time. We went from having a good life to struggling to make ends meet. My mom, Yasmin, worked very hard to take care of us after my dad left. She never gave up, even when things were tough. She started a small business and worked hard to make it grow. And it did. Our lives went from being difficult to being comfortable again. It was amazing to see my mom's strength and determination. But then something unexpected happened. My mom got sick. It was a big shock for us. The person who had fought so hard for us was now fighting a serious illness. It was a tough time for us, but we were determined to support her through it. My mom's illness turned our lives upside down. I took care of her and hoped she would get better. We tried everything, but sometimes things don't go as planned. Sadly, my mom passed away, leaving a huge gap in my life that can never be filled. As her only child, I had to face the difficult time after her death alone. While I was grieving, I found out that she had left her house to me. It was her last gift, showing me how much she loved me and the life we shared. When I entered the house, now mine, it felt like my mom was hugging me one last time. The house held many happy and sad memories of our time together. But what hurt me the most was that my dad, Carl, and his new wife, Rita, didn't even come to my mom's funeral. It was like he had completely forgotten about her and didn't care. This made me very angry. How could they be so cruel? Didn't my dad care about how I was feeling? Even months after my mom's death, the pain still felt fresh. I tried to find comfort in memories and friends, but I couldn't shake off the bitter feelings. The house my mom left me was beautiful, but it reminded me of her absence. I tried to make peace with the memories and make the house my own, but it took time. Things were getting better, until one day, my dad, Carl, showed up at my doorstep unexpectedly. It had been months since my mom's funeral, and he acted like nothing was wrong. I opened the door, and our eyes met. He looked surprised to see the pain and anger on my face. He tried to smile, but it didn't work. We stood there in awkward silence, with a lot of unspoken words between us. I was angry and disappointed, and it was hard to keep those feelings inside. Finally, he said, "Hey, Freddie, can we talk?" in a sorry tone, but it didn't feel sincere. His presence in my house brought up a mix of emotions, and I just stared at him. I wasn't fooled by my dad's weak attempt to make things right. "Don't pretend to apologize, Carl. I'm not buying it," I said, my voice filled with anger. "You left us to struggle while you lived a life of luxury. Now you show up like nothing's wrong." Carl's face turned red with anger, and he became defensive. "You need to respect me, Freddie," he said firmly. I laughed in disbelief. "Respect is earned, Carl. You lost mine when you abandoned us for your own desires. You can't demand respect after all the pain you caused." As we argued, I saw Rita getting out of their luxurious car and walking towards us. Seeing her only made me angrier, remembering how my dad chose a life of extravagance over his family. When she reached the doorstep, I said, "What brings you here, Rita? You didn't even come to my mom's funeral, but now you're here." Rita made a weak excuse. "We were busy, Freddie. We had commitments." Her words only made me angrier. "You were too busy to attend my mom's funeral? That shows how little you care about her memory and our family." I felt a surge of anger and frustration as I looked at my dad and Rita standing in front of me. They were still the same selfish people who showed off their wealth and indulged in luxuries. Their presence in my home, acting like nothing was wrong, made me even angrier. "What do you two want from me?" I asked them. "Haven't you hurt me enough already?" "My dad," Carl said, "Freddie, we need to talk. The truth is, our life isn't as great as it seems on social media. We're struggling financially, and we even need to sell the Aston Martin outside to get some money for something important." Rita, who had been quiet until then, took off her coat, revealing her pregnant belly. I was shocked and angry. "You're telling me that you got someone pregnant who's young enough to be my sister? This is a sick joke, right?" I said, my voice filled with anger. Carl, now getting defensive, said some very hurtful things to me. His words were mean and unexpected, and I couldn't believe my father could be so cruel. "You think you're so smart, talking to me like that. I left you and your mom because I couldn't stand being around someone as stupid as you. You're useless and hopeless. I didn't do anything wrong, so shut up. I was shocked and couldn't believe what I was hearing. I just stood there, refusing to accept that my father was speaking to me like this in my own home. Get out, I said firmly. Get out before I call the police. Leave my property. Carl smiled slyly and said, Actually, that's why we're here. What do you mean? I asked, my anger rising again. You're going to have to leave this house, Fred. It's the only option, Carl said, his eyes gleaming with a sinister intent. I was furious, my heart racing with anger. You're crazy, Carl. My mom gave me this house, the woman you abandoned. You think you can just take it away? Never. You think you deserve this house? Think again, Freddie. We need a bigger and better space for our growing family, Carl said, his words dripping with audacity. My anger was burning brighter than ever. How could he want to start a new family after leaving us just a couple of years ago? He's insane. You think I'll just leave? My name is on the deed, Carl. This house is legally mine, and you can't take it away, I said, standing my ground. Carl sneered at me. Are you sure about that, Freddie? I have connections. I know the county clerk, and a simple phone call could make your name on that deed to disappear. I was even angrier now. How dare he use his connections to manipulate the system and take what was mine? You'd stoop that low to steal this house from me? You're no better than a common criminal, I said, my voice strong and forceful. They were taken aback by my intensity. But as they realized they weren't going to win, they looked nervous and scared. They knew they had underestimated me and my determination to protect what was mine and my mom's. With all my strength, I yelled at them to leave my property immediately. They turned pale and finally left the house they had tried to take. Even though he was scared, Carl still tried to intimidate me with threats of ruining my life. You'll regret not listening to me, Fred, Carl said. I tried to be nice, but you didn't want that. Just wait, you'll be begging for mercy when I'm done with you. After they left, I was left standing there, my heart racing with anger, frustration, and determination. I knew this battle was far from over. In the silence that followed, I felt a sense of urgency. I knew my father had more power and influence than I did, and his connections and willingness to bend the rules posed a big threat to my dreams of keeping this house. I understood it wouldn't be easy. It wasn't just a fight for a physical space, it was a battle against a system that favored the powerful and well-connected. But I wasn't willing to give up. I would fight hard to protect the legacy my mother left me. The house represented memories, love, and sacrifices. It was a symbol of my identity and my journey towards freedom. With newfound determination, I took a deep breath and prepared myself for the tough journey ahead. The fight for justice had just begun. Weeks after our confrontation, my father still sent me hateful messages and threats. I ignored them, knowing they were meant to hurt me. Instead, I collected evidence, saved every message, and wrote down every word he said. I knew I had to take action, so I went to the county clerk's office. This was the place where my father's plan could become a reality, but I wasn't afraid. I had to face the person who had the power to make decisions. As I entered the office, my heart raced with anxiety and determination. I approached the clerk's desk, where a middle-aged man with tired eyes looked up at me. "Excuse me, sir," I said. "I need to talk to you about something important." The county clerk looked at me with curiosity and skepticism, studying my appearance. "What do you want?" he asked gruffly. I gathered all my courage and poured my heart out to the county clerk, sharing my story and all the struggles my mom and I had faced. I told him about Carl's absence at my mom's funeral and the threats that still haunted me. I showed him the evidence of Carl's manipulation and begged him to see the truth. As I spoke, the clerk's expression changed from indifference to genuine concern. "Please, sir, understand the truth," I pleaded. "Carl has twisted the story to make himself the victim. Don't let him deceive you and take what's rightfully mine. I'm all alone and need your help." The clerk's eyes softened, and he leaned back in his chair, taking a moment to process what I said. "I had no idea," he said, shaking his head. "I have a son around your age, and I can't imagine what you're going through. Carl made himself out to be the victim, saying you were a spoiled brat, but something didn't feel right. Maybe that's why I was hesitant when he asked for his favor." I had a feeling something was wrong, but I didn't realize it was this serious, he said. His words were like a shock to my already hurting heart. but they gave me hope that someone was finally listening. I felt a glimmer of hope that things might work out fairly. "Thank you for listening, sir," I said, my voice full of thanks. "Your understanding means a lot to me. I just want you to see the truth behind Carl's lies." The county clerk nodded, looking determined. "I'll do what's right, but you have to promise not to tell anyone that I'm doing this as a favor. Sometimes I help my friends in ways that aren't exactly legal, so if you tell anyone, I'll find you and make sure you regret it." I swallowed hard, scared of the man in front of me. "Honestly, sir, I don't care if you're not following all the rules. I just want to make sure my house is mine and my father can't control it." "I've got it," he said firmly. "I believe you've been through a lot, and you shouldn't have to worry about owning your house again." Leaving the office, I felt a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. The battle wasn't over yet, but I had hope that the truth would come out and I would get what was mine. I went to my father's house, but it looked empty and abandoned. The fancy furniture was gone, probably sold to prepare for the new baby. After waiting for a long time, Carl finally opened the door, looking terrible. He hadn't slept or showered in days, and seeing me made him even angrier. "What do you want?" Carl growled. "I just came to tell you something," I said, standing up for myself. "I'm keeping the house, and you can't make me leave. So give up trying." "Like hell you are," Carl yelled, his face red with anger. "I'm your father, and I get to decide." "You're no father to me, just a pest," I shot back, my anger rising. Carl sneered. "We'll see about that. I always get what I want." I smiled, feeling triumphant. I already talked to the county clerk, and he's on my side. I have the papers right here, and the house is mine. Carl's face contorted in shock and horror as he realized his plan was falling apart. He stuttered, trying to find words, but I just laughed, celebrating my win. "You can't tell anyone I tried to help you, or we'll both get in trouble," Carl said, his voice desperate. "Looks like you and Rita need to start house hunting," I taunted, rubbing it in. Carl's face fell. "Actually, Rita is leaving me. She's not happy that I couldn't get your house quickly enough, and she's given me an ultimatum." I shrugged. "That's tough for you." Carl's eyes begged me. "Freddie, please, let me move in with you. I can't take it here anymore. Everything is too much for me. I haven't slept or eaten, and Rita is driving me crazy with her demands." I laughed. "You're still acting like a child, even at your age. You think I'm going to let you stay with me? Think again. Try a homeless shelter. They might have room for you." Carl's face twisted in anger. "You're a heartless and thoughtless person. You'll regret this, Freddie." I smiled. "I'm not scared of you, Carl. You're getting what you deserve. Karma's a bitch, isn't it?" As I walked away, I knew Carl's life was going downhill. He became a social outcast, and his alcohol addiction took over. I heard Rita divorced him, took most of his money, and left him alone and hopeless in a hotel room, struggling to figure out his next move. But I knew I had won, and I was ready to fight for anything my mother left me. Carl would never dare to confront me with the same anger and entitlement again. I was no longer a kid, and I had a lot to lose. "I'll fight for anything my mother left me," I said firmly. "And if he's foolish enough to try me again, I'll make sure he regrets it."